up while you still can! Yule!
Hey there, check out what my friend and I found. I'll sell some of it to you if you want. I found them near the old Dwemer Bridge in the far west. I'll mark it down for you on your map, for a small fee. Thank you. You'll find the ruins right here. Take a look.
always coin to be made killing off some Forsworn in the hills.
You won't get away.
Oh, no,
You
don't. I'll rip you in half.
Bye, have a great time.
You'll!
I'll tear you to pieces.
I'll try and make this quick. Nah! You'll! Nah! 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 Gah!
What is it? What do you need to take? Lead on, then.
Yul! Yul! Yul!
Yes?
I work for Eydis. You should head on inside. Eydis or Skuli can take care of you. What's this? I guess some things never change. Thanks for bringing this to me. Here, for your trouble. Until next time.
Ah, a visitor. Old Hroldan Inn has hundreds of years of history.
This is the Old Hroldan Inn. Clean beds and strong drink. Watch your tongue, stranger. We don't take back talk in this inn. Magic? That's dangerous. You want to learn that? Go to that college in Winterhold. They teach that stuff there. Hey, I know. The Jarl's wizard could teach you. He's lots closer. Of course. Depends. Are you thirsty, hungry, both? All right then.
You'll be looking to rent Tiber Septim's room, I take it? That's right. In the Second Era, Tiber Septim himself led the army that conquered Old Hroldan from the barbarians of the Reach. Septim would later found the empire that united Tamriel, but his first known battle and victory was right here. And this inn has the very bed the great general slept in on his first night as Old Hroldan's liberator, as good as it was hundreds of years ago. Have a good rest. It's the big room with the double bed. I'll show you to your room. Right this way. Let me know if there's anything else you need.
If you drink too much, you're out. No drunks.
You don't look so good. Mara have mercy, that gave me a fright. There's a ghost just wandering around my inn like it owned the place. Yes, I've heard stories that Old Hroldan was haunted, but no one's seen a ghost here since the Great War. He's from the battle, I just know it. He's one of Tiber Septim's soldiers, back from the dead. Good day. Hi there.
Hjalti, is that you? I've been waiting. You promised me, Hjalti. You promised that when we sacked Hroldan, you would make me your sworn brother. And I've waited. Even after the enemy's arrows dug into my chest and their hammers crushed my bones, I've waited. Give me your sword, Hjalti, that we may become brothers, as you promised. I long to taste battle again. You don't remember me, Hjalti? 2 campaigns we served together. You saved my life, time and time again.
Change the linens myself. They're fresh.
Tidings, Sarah. My name is Asteria, a traveling bard on her way to Markarth. If you would like to hear a song, do not hesitate to make a request. I require no coin or patronage for my services. All I ask in return is the following favor. Should my verse please you, then I would be most gracious if you spread word of my song to the citizens of the Reach. It's good to see that there are those in Skyrim who still speak with grace and live with honor. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I've plied my trade in Hammerfell and High Rock, and have tales to tell from each. Certainly. For a fortnight, I had stayed outside the halls of Skingrad, in hopes of obtaining an audience with the Count. After many attempts, I decided to head west, on the Gold Road to Gavach, passing through the tomato fields that quilted the land outside the gate. It was then that my eyes set upon a frail old man, weeping at the base of a tree. He had lost his sister to vampirism, and had walked all of Cyrodiil retrieving the ingredients for her cure. Yet it came at a terrible cost. From life came death, and from hope bloomed sorrow. She died less than 10 days after she was cured. For vampirism was the cure for time, and time is the deadliest disease of all. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I've plied my trade in Hammer... As you wish. It was not but a season ago, before I came to Skyrim, in the city of Elenher. There, I met a couple, hiding out in an old shack, tucked between a canopy of trees. 2 women, who fought on the field and fell for each other. A Thalmor Justicar, and an Alakir warrior. They knew their lives were short. They knew their story would end in tragedy. So, they asked me to tell their tale, so that it would not be forgotten. It's not a fairy tale by any means, nor is their love the kind we can easily digest. They betrayed their homes, their kings, and their gods, so that they could stay true to their hearts. I hail from Cyrodiil, of course. It all began when I joined a group of troubadours who traveled from port to port across Iliac Bay. We aimed to sail from the docks of Menevia all the way to Bethany, the tiny island that serves as the period to High Rock's western peninsula. 3 days into our journey, and our spirits were high, and our bodies drunk in wine and cheer. It all changed on the 4th. It was the 18th of Morning Star, that ancient day when the spirits wake from their wintry slumber, as they have for centuries since time began. Only what rose from the seas that day was no spirit. A serpentine figure, half a league in length, black as the void, with scales that glistened like a soul gem, hunting a flock of whales. The captain wasted no time turning the galleon around. Behind us, the ocean bubbled with venom as it sunk its fangs into its prey. Some say it was a water dragon. Others contend it was a kraken. And some will say it wasn't wine we drank, but skooma. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I am but a humble bard, and know nothing of either. Yet as a bard I can craft you a tale. This story begins in a Dwemer city, ruled not by kings, chieftains, or jarls, but by the people, so that no mortal may rule over another. However, where there is no throne, a mine owner seeks to build one, smelted from ore wrought by slaves. Slaves to debt, and slaves to a mistake, as there is no abolition for criminals and the poor. Until next time, greetings. Bards are quite territorial, and there are many in Markarth who already call the Silver Blood Inn their home. In Old Hroldan, I can ply my trade without having to contend for the floor. There's also the advantage of novelty. Just as a meal is most delicious when one's hunger is at its peak. The emotion of a song is best felt by those with virgin ears. Although I must confess, I do like the atmosphere of a traditional Nord inn. I love warm beds and homely smells, and also jewels, although I suppose one of those three has nothing to do with Old Hroldan. Not at the Bard's College, if that's what you're implying. I'm very much a bard, however, or I wouldn't advertise my services as such. If my skill were lacking, you would discover that soon enough. A sword maiden, for instance, could not profess her skill in battle and then show up to the arena with her armor on backwards. Nor can I claim to be a bard if my loot collects more dust than coin. Even here in Old Hroldan, there's always someone with a story. A lost loved one, a new job, a family reunion, a long goodbye. And whether it's good, bad, or sad, a story always needs a tune. They say there are many roads to wisdom, but not all of them are interesting. As you wish. What would you like me to play? It will be my pleasure, Sirrah.
If you got the boon, put it up and you'll have the fiercest warrior in all of Skyrim. What does it look like? I'm a sellsword. You hiring? I grew up in an orc stronghold. That good enough for you? I don't take coin. I just have one rule. I keep what I kill. If that works for you, then you have my steel. Maybe because I'm not stupid. You see, these mercs take a job for 500 septims flat. Just because that's the way it's always been. Some of these mammoth brains even do a second job on the house. Beats me. Whenever I ask why, they tell me to shut my apple pie hole. It's 500 gold because that's the way it's always been. Seems to me that's the stupidest reason I ever heard in my entire life. And I knew Chief Yamar's, so I've heard some stupid things come out of an orc's mouth. Not at all. Those other sellswords, you pay everything up front and there's no guarantee they'll even stick around. Me, if I don't kill anything, I don't get anything. So you know I won't run at the first sight of trouble. I know what's valuable. Jewels, orichalcum, nirnroot. In any case, I'll know it when I see it. Yeah, well, I was planning on staying in Rorikstead. A place like that got people going east and west. Except there was already a sellsword there. Some guy by the name of Killer or Slaughter or something. Guy with a nickname like that must have slain hundreds, no, thousands of men. Where I come from, people don't call you Killer unless you have a reputation for, you know, killing people. If you want a guy known as the Killer at your backside, be my guest. Kynesgrove, little town in East March. You've probably never heard of it, but it's practically an Ulfric's kitchen. What, you saying someone can't grow up in two different places? I spent my childhood in Kynesgrove, and when I was big enough, I went down to Largusburg to train. At first, I wasn't sure if they'd take me. They asked me to brawl this real skinny female named Ugor. With the broomstick she called arms, I thought she was a maid. The egg was on my face when she knocked me from Frostfall to Sun's Dusk. They respected my will, though. Kept getting up and asking for seconds. Long story short, they took me in, trained me, made me the warrior I am. Better to ask how it's not. Go ahead, ask me. Well, they both got people living in it. That's pretty much it. Alright, alright. If you want the truth, I didn't go to Largashbur out of choice. My father forced me to. He didn't want me to grow up some milk drinker like him, and he started getting this idea in his head that the orc way was the only way. After everything my mother did to get our family out of that backwards mess, he goes and screws it all up. My mother was a proud woman, and she wasn't gonna abide by their stupid traditions. She was nobody's third wife. Only the chief wasn't the type who takes no for an answer. Got brains as thick as Charis shells, these stronghold orcs. Which wouldn't be so bad if they didn't have the morals of the Charis too. She ran. Took off the night before her wedding. Had a cousin who stood guard and was willing to die for her. Probably did. After that, she settled down in Kynesgrove. That's where she met my father, one of the orcs who worked the farms. She died giving birth to her first child, me. Yamar's? Yeah, I don't know if he was chief when Mother left, but if he was anything like that coward, I can see why she did. That poor fool didn't even bother to stop me as I walked out of the front gate. He was too scared I'd actually fight back. He can. All it takes is someone to challenge him, but it has to be a male or else I'd be chief myself. That's one way of putting it. I say he was obsessed. Like he lost a part of his heritage by growing up a farmer. You can almost tell how embarrassed he was when some orc sellsword came by the inn. Or even worse, someone from the stronghold. Actually, almost isn't the right word. It was written all over his face. The shame. At first he tried to make himself a warrior. Spent all our savings on blunted swords and worthless piece of armor. Eventually, he realized he was better off putting his energy into me. But the Stormcloaks aren't exactly opening doors to those who aren't their kind. Orcs don't exactly live long lives, and he was running out of time. So he drops me off in that cursed stronghold like some piece of scrap meat for the hounds. Uh-huh. You hire me, and you hire the best. The best place you'll never see. You got all the convenience of the city with none of the hassle. You got the ocean to the east, waterfalls to the west, and hot springs to the south. I tell you, soaking in those pools is better than any healing spell. There's plenty of that, too. I just didn't want to bore you with the obvious. Yeah, there is. There's something that's been bothering me for some time now. It's kind of embarrassing to ask, though. Well, I guess it's better to ask a stranger. So I've noticed there's this thing the humans and elves do when they press their lips together. Usually with someone they like. Is that what it's called? Well, in any case, I was wondering what that was like. Well, that's the thing. Orcs have these tusks, and, well, it's just not possible. Not the way the humans do it. I was hoping you could describe it to me, or at least knew someone who described it to you. Sounds like you read that in a book somewhere. I'll ask someone with a little more real-life experience. Uh-huh.
Do you think the ghost is one of Tiber Septim's dead men? Hjalti? I never heard of anyone named Hjalti. Tiber Septim had many names. Maybe that's one of them. A sword. I remember a legend that Tiber Septim had attacked one of the enemy camps before he came to Old Hroldan. It could be there. I'll mark it down on your map. Good day.